Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 4th day of June, 2019. Well, I'm going to stir my honey up a little bit here in this hot honey and lemon cleanse I do every morning. It's an amazing thing, really. It helps with allergies. It's just, I don't know, it gives you energy. I really don't drink coffee. Coffee doesn't really agree with me. And so, in fact, sometimes I have to drink fennel tea after I have coffee because it really makes my stomach upset. So I don't generally wake up with coffee like a lot of people do. And I don't always necessarily want a cup of black tea either. So my husband started doing this for me, and this is just wonderful. You can do it like at say you get the 3 a.m. slump. You see that one commercial for whatever snack you can buy or whatever for the 3 a.m. slump where everybody just falls asleep except for two guys that are eating that whatever they're eating. If you take a spoonful of honey, raw honey, and we have it from our hives, then that also wakes you up. So that's another option. If you can make sure that you get actual honey and not the stuff that's cut with, I have no idea what they cut it with, but it's mostly sugar. It's not actual honey. You have to be careful. You want to get it probably from a local farm. Or a bee farm or something, but try to find it because it really does make a difference in the afternoon. You take a spoonful of honey and suddenly you wake up. So anyhow, at least that works for me and for my husband. Anyhow, one other thing I wanted to share, my blog, I write it on WordPress, and sometimes it'll ask you to log back in. Well, sometimes that means that whatever you've saved really wasn't saved after all. And I got most of this thing done, and that happened. So I logged back in, and I should have just simply copied everything and kept it in the clipboard just in case. And I didn't. I lost the whole thing other than the first paragraph. I don't know what happened. I really don't. But I'm not happy. So I tried to do it again, and I could not get into it. I was so upset because I had to rewrite the whole thing, and I couldn't do it. And so I thought, well, I wonder if it's the deck, if that has something to do with it, because I typically use the Morgan Greer for the monthly tarot readings. And so I decided to look at some other decks, and I went through several, laying out cards, seeing, okay, how do I feel about this? How do I feel about that? And didn't feel anything for any of it, And so I finally decided to go really non-traditional this time, and I pulled out the Wild Unknown deck. And that is just, I think the creator's name is Kim Kranz. I hope I didn't screw that up because she's good. She's got another deck out too, and I don't have that one yet. But this one is really neat. It's elemental, it's animals, it's all done in pen and ink, and there is color to it, but it's elemental color, so it's very precise where she has it. And this is just, if you're into non-traditional decks, I just like to see empathically if I can, relate to them that way. And this one I do. And so I got that out and I shuffled a little bit, and I laid down the cards, and suddenly I just calmed down. And I didn't do it in the way that I was going to do it. I changed the spread, and I'm going to look at it a little differently. I thought, well, I'm just going to change everything about this, right? And so I did that, and I calmed right down, and I'm looking at it, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. Well, I decided not to write it up, though, just to make sure. And so I looked at it again this morning before I went outside and started watering everything in sight, because it's going to be high 80s today, I guess. I don't know why, but we're getting really warm weathers really quickly this year, so I don't know. Usually it takes a little longer to get the really high temperatures here. Toward the end of June, July, and there you get them. But June is usually a little more comfortable, but I don't know. Not right now. Anyhow, I looked at it before I went out there, and I'm happy with it. So I'm going to go ahead and write that up today, and it will be on the blog tonight over at imsteppingaside.com. So check that out if you want to. As I said yesterday, the geomancy reading is up, as was the moon. one, and I'm thinking, yeah, today I got to do that too. So it's the 4th. I'm pretty sure it moves today sometime. Um, so I guess I will have 2 things up on the blog then, if you want to check that out. Anyhow, let's get started though. Oh, I wanted to let's see, where am I keeping it? I was writing this on the little sticky note thing I have up here at the top, but I didn't. I've got a little notebook out. I think I'm going to keep them there. That way I know where they are at any given time and I can get to them. Otherwise, see, I nuke this stuff out every week. And so I don't know what I did the week before. Well, let's see, is this thing going to fan me today? Because I have a hot flash. Well, yesterday we had a run on cups, so run on emotions. And it was the 2, 3, and 10 of cups. And so we made a decision, I think, to let go of emotions that are no longer serving us. And what on earth is going on with my fan? I have no idea. It must be caught somehow. But anyway, I think what we had decided yesterday is that this was about letting go of things that no longer serve and moving into letting spirit inform that whole thing. So Willow was there. Mind, body, spirit alignment with the 3 of cups. The 10 of cups was the family, remember, and the rainbow above. So here we were. I think that we had made the decision at that point. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. We had made the decision to let go of emotions that no longer served us and to come together in unity with others, or perhaps if it wasn't an external experience, perhaps it was truly about the inner work that we've been doing lately to bring everything into balance, polarity, and mind, body, spirit in balance. So if you wanted to look at it rather than what was actually visually on the cards, if you're to look at more of the essence of it, you could actually say that it's more inner work. But then it allows us to express all of that in the world. And then we had Kata Draconis as the geomancy rune, which is basically telling us, I think, at that point, to go ahead and let go of what no longer serves. Because otherwise, how do you reach that wonderful place that you reach in the 10 of Cups? Sometimes we get stuck in emotion, don't we? And it becomes to the point that we can't let it go. And I think that what we're seeing here is that when we get all caught up in it, maybe perception starts governing everything instead of actual truth. And so we perceive things in a way that maybe aligns with the mood that we're in. And so, if we're not in a very good mood, maybe we're looking at something, whereas if we were in a better mood, we might see it completely differently. So as emotions are running high for a lot of people these days, for a variety of reasons, both personal and societal, I think it makes sense to, rather than letting that all get away from us, to actually choose to bring that into balance and to let go of the and dissolve those channels that are complicated and chaotic, that really aren't, they're keeping our focus or attention on something that we can't really do anything about anyway. So all it does is just serve to keep our emotions in flux and in chaos, and that doesn't help us. So it doesn't keep us happy. So I think that that's where we were yesterday. So let's see where we are today, and if we build on that or if we turn to something else. There was a bit of a feeling of new beginnings about that reading, especially with the 10 of Cups. That's new beginnings. You've let go of all that. Now you're embarking on something new and exciting and successful. And here we have, we start out with some change with the 5 of Swords. Emotions involved because we see the choppy water in the background, and also we see one guy holding his head. He's bereft. One guy's picking up 3 of the swords and is looking back at his friends. He's clearly won the argument. You see the brown sketchy clouds. The other guy with his back to the scene, he's really not paying attention. He's looking more at the other guy closest to the water, concerned about him. Yeah, this was some change. This was born of an argument. So something's happened here. We don't yet know what it is. Let's draw another card. And if it's your first time here, thank you so much for coming by. Welcome. I appreciate you stopping by, and hopefully you'll join our little tarot and rune family by subscribing to the videos. And if you've come back, thank you, really. But then you know that. No, I appreciate everybody who comes by. It's fun to talk about this stuff. It's fun to explore all of it. It's fun to use several different divination tools together. I mean, basically, we're looking at, tarot, we're looking at the Elder Futhark and the runes, we're looking at numerology, and we're looking at now the geomancy runes. That's such an interesting older divination tool. I've basically created my own method, and you're basically creating a glyph that consists of 4 lines of either 1 or 2 dots, right? And to do that, you're going to throw either 4 sticks, or in my case, I made 4 runes. They have 2 dots on one side, 1 on the other, and each one is assigned to an element because it goes in elemental order: fire, air, water, and earth. When you're from top to bottom, when you're drawing these things out, and then you do 4 of them. You throw them 4 times and create the initial 4 geometric runes, and then from there you use those 4 to create the rest of the shield chart. And there's was it 15? You've got 4 and 8's 12. Yeah, there's 15 on the shield chart. It looks like this when it's all filled out. You can see it on the current one. But you do the first 4. Let's see over here. You do these first 4. It goes from right to left and right to left. And then once you do the first 4, then these 4 create the next 4. And then each of these 2 will create the one below. And what I do for the monthly reading is I turn these into 4 weeks. Well, 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? And then down here you have the left witness and the right witness and the judge. And these have more to do with overall kinds of things. Well, anyway, that's what a geomancy shield chart looks like. There's another one that you can use that makes use of the houses, astrological houses. Agrippa did that. That's also interesting to do. I don't usually do that one, though. I just prefer to do it this way since I'm just doing the monthly stuff. It just has its own natural pattern to that shield chart, and it just makes it easy to do it. And this time I had to use a reconciler, and that's, you take the judge, the very last symbol, and last rune, and you combine it with the very first one. And you see, because if you think maybe what you have really isn't as clear as it needs to be, you can do what's called a reconciler. And hopefully you can get the final information there as to what the whole thing's all about. And I actually had to do that this time because it just, I don't know, it just seemed missing something, But then one day I just decided to do one here, just one, not 4, but just one. And it's kind of like an end to things, just a final reminder or one final thing that may have nothing to do with the reading, but it may have everything to do with the reading. It's just kind of one last bit of information. So anyhow, I've been doing that too. So let's do our second card though. It's 3, 4, 5. And if you've been here before, I take the 13th card. It's just my process. I was born on the 13th. It figures prominently in my life. So I just do that to make this as random as possible. Otherwise, I would just lay 3 cards down at once. Here we have the 5 of Pentacles. Again, change. A different kind of change, maybe. I'm going to set these cards down so I can hold these 2 up. Okay. Numerologically, you're looking at a 1 energy. 5 and 5 is 10, so that's a 1 energy, so new beginnings. Clearly something new is going to happen here out of this. We've had an argument in the Five of Swords where things didn't maybe go well for us, maybe, or maybe it did, or maybe we took advantage or something. Maybe our words were just a little too harsh and we won, but you know, what do you really win in those moments, even though you do? And here with the Five of Pentacles, you see a man and a woman. Or traditionally, I look upon the taller person as a woman, but I don't know. It could be a man and a woman, a mother and a son, perhaps, in all stages of harm. Uh, they're wounded, they're injured. It looks like they're walking in front of a church because of the stained glass, obviously. So help is beyond that wall, but they can't get there, either because they're not allowed to get there or because they can't see it. Again, focus. Same sort of thing. It's about where we're placing our focus. In this case, you know, their material presence is being affected. Their physical form is being affected. Their security, their wealth. They have nothing. They're destitute. You know, but they keep moving along, don't they? Their head bowed against the wind, their head bowed against the snow. There's in some, I don't know if you can see it in this one, but in some of them, there's snow, or it appears that there's snow. I mean, it's clearly they're going through. Uh, well, the taller woman here doesn't have any shoes on, and the shorter person on crutches, makeshift crutches, has a boot on one foot, but the other foot is bandaged. And so they've really been through it. They're not. They're likely homeless. Um, but basically, their security is being threatened, and yet they can't see that there's help on the other side, assuming that it would be given to them. You can see the snow on the ground. So that's not likely a granite wall behind. That's likely snow that you see there in the background. That's how I've always interpreted it anyway. Let's do another card. I'm always bothered by this scene in the Five of Pentacles, though. I know that some interpret it as maybe being unable to see what you have in front of you, but I suspect, and it's just this inside feeling that says, yeah, I don't know. They may know it's there, but they can't get in. They're not allowed in. So if you look at it individually, you know, obviously a change needs to happen here, either in their life or in the attitudes surrounding them from others, from those behind that stained glass window. And I guess for today's reading, I want to see it that way, probably because of the Five of Swords. I don't like that card either. I feel that there's a sense of smugness about it, where this person is just, he doesn't care the effect that he's had on the others. You know, clearly there's three of them, so mind, body, spirit is not in balance. And so, you know, I just have to think that there's a lot of things here that if people just feel shut out from what they should be able to have, from the dignity, from the reason, from the compassion that they should be allowed to have. But again, together, new beginnings. So, you know, you look at this and you say, well, I guess I could continue living this way, you know, being the kind of person that maybe wins at all costs, abandons the people that need him the most. Or we can use the energy of the new beginnings to maybe choose something else that's perhaps a little more unifying, a little more compassionate. Let's do another card. Well, uh, yeah, I mean, we got the two of cups like we had yesterday. Again, I see this with the winged lion above. I'm going to say that that's will manifesting here, that coming together is intentional. We're either coming together as with another person, or this is healing polarity within. And yesterday, I kind of saw it as healing the polarity within. So maybe we have a little more work to do um, from yesterday's, because that's basically where we were going. We needed an end to all of that. We needed it. We needed enlightenment. That was Willow. You know what? I want to do one more card, because right now we have a 3 energy numerologically. So again, mind, body, spirit in balance, balanced polarity, inner work, inner revelation, inner awareness that takes us out of this feeling that the deck is stacked against us, and no matter what we do, we can't survive this. We can't get a leg up. And so there has to be a new beginning. So I do think that this builds on yesterday. I really do, especially with the appearance again of the Two of Cups. Let's see if we get another one of those from yesterday. Well, the Emperor, who could be at the heart of all of this, an authority figure affecting our structure, the Four. You see the ram's heads the 4 ram's heads on his throne. His throne's made of concrete. Mason, it's the masonry, the mason expression, really. He's holding a sunflower in his left hand, and he's holding his scepter in the other. You see the round circle on top of that scepter. It's the eternalness of the emperor. Gee, see, he looks concerned. He's not really looking straight at us, is he? Now, it could be that authority is keeping this from manifesting. Okay. So if we want to move the 2 further beyond here and replace that with the Emperor, we would go the 5 of Swords, the 5 of Pentacles, the Emperor, and then the 2 of Cups. Actually, let's move the 4 first. Let's move the Emperor first. So we have an authoritarian situation going on, either personally or in the greater society, where some things are happening, maybe behind the scenes. You've got some changes happening behind the scenes. Because basically their backs are to this guy, and so something's happening behind their backs, in a sense. Even though we can see what's going on, they're not watching. And so in a sense, it's happening behind the scenes. So there's some deception going on. Perhaps there's been a conflict where no matter what you do, you cannot get a leg up. You see that again evidenced in the 5 of Pentacles, where our security, our financial security, our home is being threatened, and the people behind the stained glass windows aren't interested in helping. They caused it. Okay, they caused the situation with the presence of the Emperor. He's the catalyst for all of this. But we know from yesterday that we've got to put that aside, don't we? And we have to come together with intention, either with other people or inside, and allow those channels of energy to dissolve and take a new road. You know, gather some new perception, return to your still point, and allow that energy, that source energy, to inform whatever balance you need to achieve. Whether it's how you extend compassion and kindness to others, whether it's how you communicate with others. Uh, if you're in the role of the emperor, then you may have some control over some things that you really should maybe be thinking about how you manifest all of that. Or you could look at the emperor in terms of taking charge of your own inner polarity, if you want to look at it that way. If you look at it with an inner, viewpoint instead of, some external thing that might be going on in your lives. Because the fact is whatever's going on inside is going to affect all of that. So at the very least, even if you need to deal with things that are going on in your life, you still need to come to center and come to balance, come to that still point, and allow that moment, that source presence moment, to bring the clarity that you need so that you can deal with whatever you're trying to deal with. Let's do a rune. Well, normally I don't like pulling the emperor. It's just a symbol for patriarchy, and I'm really old and remember what it was like to be an early feminist. I was in college. Best time of my life, let me tell you. Well, I drew Othala. Today's a 4 energy, by the way. So structure and foundation and respite and, coming to maybe a little greater balance. Also, integration is another aspect of the 4 elements. But here we have Othala. And we'll talk about Othala. I'm going to do a little drawing here for you and show you how bad I am at drawing stick figures. See, those are like runes. They're largely stick figures, and I can work with them. The thing about the runes, though, is that they're comprised of other runes, basically. And so we're going to look at Othala, which is the final rune of the Elder Futhark, the 24th rune, a 6 energy, denoting ancestry, the Akash, the final coming together, the full awareness of who we are, legacy. Let's draw this out and I'll show you what I mean. Right away, we see Ingwas or Ingus. That is the seed. It is energy, it's expansion all at once. So you would think of that when the seed decides to break through and start its growth. It's this energy that sort of expands all at once, or sudden expansion. But what we have here, we have 2 runes that comprise Othala. There's Othala at the top, and then we have Ingwas or Ingus, however you want to say it, which is that seed. And then we have Gebo, which is balanced energy exchange. Now, Gebo also, if you look at it, Gebo is the same as the seed, or as Ingus. If you were to take Ingus and move those, I basically have it done like this, okay? Okay, like that. If you were to take those that comprise this, Ingus or Ingwas, and if you were to take them and move them this way, you would have Gebo. You also have Kenaz, forward and reversed. Here, Kenaz is right here, and that's Kenaz reversed. This is the light turned inward, and this is illumination, okay? So we already have the sudden expansion, how our birth into the world, basically. And then at the end, you have the coming together and the realization of who we are. You have the light both outwardly and inwardly, expressing it there. So I think that the feeling of coming full circle is here, and the feeling of progression and of understanding that we need to come together internally, spiritually, to blend the dark with the light, the masculine with the feminine, the projective with the receptive, and to bring all of that in balance so that then when we extend and express ourselves to other people and in other situations, we can do that in a way that's respectful of who we all are, seeing all as the other side of self. That's the other thing here that you can see in the two, is seeing the other side of self, can't you? It's not the same, obviously, because we have a man and a woman. So you're seeing masculine and feminine, or projective versus perceptive, dark versus light, if you want to call it that, ego versus spirit. But it's learning to do that, to blend all of that with intention. You know, we sit and we think that life happens to us. No, it doesn't. We perceive all of it. We create all of it in that respect, in terms of our perception. Also in terms of the choices that we make, the decisions that we make. So why wouldn't we, if we're trying to get out of that reactive mode, why wouldn't we know that we have to act with intention to make that happen? It's like trying to give up a bad habit. You know, sometimes I had this friend one time, and he would get carried away with himself, right? And he would not watch how he would speak, really, to anyone. And it didn't occur to him that he was being rude, you know? I mean, he really didn't. I mean, because he would become so full of himself, full of energy when he's talking, and I don't mean full of himself in that he was full of crap or anything. It wasn't that at all. He was a very intelligent guy. It's just that he would be caught up in the moment of his own flow, and he wouldn't realize, you know, what came out of his mouth necessarily, that maybe he was a little more insensitive than he really meant to have, you know. So it wasn't that he disrespected other people. This was purely something he just was not aware of. And finally, he became aware of it. And he realized that because it wasn't about how he actually felt inside about people, it was that he just had a habit. And so when you have to do all of this, right, when you're changing your focus, it's habit. It's not you've necessarily chosen to think only about yourself or whatever. I mean, I suppose if you were someone who chose service to self before coming here, then sure, you know, that would be the case. But more often than not, you just get into this mode of the way you say things or do things or what have you, and it becomes a habit. And so that's all I'm saying, is that to do this, you have to look upon a lot of this as just habitual, you know, expression, and view it that way. Don't attach any more emotion to it than that, and just say, oh, okay, you know, like biting my nails, I have to stop that habit, you know, and then look at it that way. But let's do the geometry rune and see what we have today. Okay. Okay, so for the fire one, I have a 2 dots. For earth, I have 2 dots. For water, I have 2 dots. And for air, I have 1. So let me see which one that is. I think it's Albus. No, I think it's not Albus. I think it's Rubeus. Yep, that's Rubeus. Okay, let me do another drawing. Bear with me. So this is Rubeus. The opposite of it is Albus, which is wisdom and a sage. Someone with white hair. Conversely, this is Rubeus, and it's passion and the color red. You have 2 dots, 1 for fire, 1 for air. two for water and two for earth. Now, two dots reflect a passive principle. So someone who's going to go along with the crowd. So one is an active principle, and given that that's air, and air is the active dominant influence here, um, definitely aligns with whatever went on here. So we need to watch what we say and the effects of what we say. Um, are we being inclusive? Are we conveying that we're willing to help others? Or, you can find a safe port in the storm. Uh, are you that for others, or are you somebody that puts up barriers and boundaries so much that no one can get in? Um, so lots of ways really to go with this one. But definitely consider, uh, if you're the emperor, if you're the one in charge, how magnanimous are you? How much are you willing to listen to others? Or are you willing to just pronounce how things are supposed to be and everyone's just supposed to get with the program, irrespective of how they feel about it or how it's going to impact them? Are you someone who's going to welcome someone in when they're hurting? Or are you someone who just, I don't want to get involved? Um, do you have openness within you, or do you have, are you a closed door to others? Um, Typically that begins in an inner sense. And so we come to the Two of Cups, which we began with yesterday. And, the healing has to possibly happen within so it can then be expressed without. We have to guard against some passion here, especially with respect to what we talk about with Rubius. Passion is just a lot of energy, and so maybe we're going to run our mouths in a way that get away from us, and we can't stay in control of that. So we're going to have to be very, very cognizant of that and the effect that it has on our legacy, uh, our family. So that's cool. Not quite as happy a reading as the one yesterday, I think, but you know, I think that it's just serious. I think particularly if you're, I don't know what's going on in each of your lives personally, and you don't know what's going on in mine. There could be all kinds of things that are happening that this applies to. The only one for certain I know that we all share, at least here in this country, is the one in the government that's going on there. So if we are experiencing that, it's going to be up to all of us to make that change, it looks like. It looks like it's not going to be Congress that does this. It looks like it's going to come down to the voters. And so I think that whatever struggles we've all had with one another over all of this, I think there's a lot of people very angry with one another. And it's unfortunate because we're going to need to drop all of it in order to do the right thing. I've read the Mueller report, not all of the second one, almost all. Um, find a way to read it. It might make a difference. It might not. It should. If you read it with clear vision, open with an open mind, But basically, that's kind of where we're at right now. This coming up again tells me that we're still there, and we still need to work on this and figure out a way to, even if it's just to agree to disagree. But there's so many comments now from people that should know better, religious people, religious figures, ministers, oh, well, we're all going to, start a civil war if he's impeached. Why are you doing that? Can you not see what the guy did? I don't know, It's like everybody's got this little agenda that they need satisfied. And until then, he's God's gift. But to what? Because if it's not to let us see what the truth is and to see the fallacy of all of this separation, I don't know. It won't have been worth anything. So anyhow, that's it for today. I I guess we'll be doing some more inner work today. Anyhow, it's a Tuesday, so Mars energy. So definitely, with Rubius, use the energy to your advantage and not at the expense of. So anyhow, we'll see you tomorrow. Check out the blog. Again, I'll have that tarot reading up today, I promise. And also, I'll probably have that moon one done as well. So check that out over at imsteppingaside.com, and we'll see you tomorrow. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.